2011. Linda Giovanello and her husband Tony are house hunting in the woods of North Carolina. They're earning money for a $175,000 investment with Staten Island real estate developer Joe Marzella. And after 27 years of marriage and a lifetime of hard work, they think their vision of their golden years is within their grasp.
The dream home, the retirement, everything. We thought we were getting it.
While searching for the perfect home by the water in which to live out a secure future together, they get some disturbing news.
A friend called, and he said, turn your TV on. And I said, why? And he said, well, the FBI just went into Joe Marzella's office and seized his files.
The couple cuts their trip short and reaches out to Marzella to find out what's going on.
And then he called me and said, nothing to worry about, everything's fine. And I said, Joe, don't tell me that. I said, FBI does not go in unless something's wrong. And like my husband said, that was the start of a broken dream.
Their dream is alive and well only months earlier when they first come across Joe Marzella. As FBI agent John Robertson explains, Marzella is a former insurance salesman looking to expand his horizons. In the early 90s, he begins his own company that eventually becomes the Great Atlantic Group.
The Great Atlantic Group was a one-stop shop for real estate services. You could do loan origination, you could modify your existing mortgage, you could do wills, estates, trusts. To many people just in off the street for loan modification, that's all he would provide them. He'd modify their mortgages or he'd provide them mortgage loans. But for others, Joe would identify them as people with significant money to invest, and Joe would offer real estate investment services.
Marzella tells these deep-pocketed clients about an opportunity to invest in commercial and residential properties across New York and New Jersey. He says that with their investments, he'll be able to rehab and develop these properties into prime holdings.
The phrase he used to always use was, everything's rocking and rolling.
Loretta Lynch is the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of New York.
He had this foolproof method, according to Joe Marzella. Invest your money with me. I guarantee 10%, sometimes 8%, sometimes more, but usually around 10%. And he would differentiate himself from the big mutual funds who were, according to him, promising 20 and 24%. So he's making people feel safe.
Marzella guarantees the investment with a promissory note and projects such confidence that he even provides a schedule letting investors know exactly what their investment will be worth every step of the way.
Joe would provide this to his investors to say, look, here, you can see in July of 2008, 8 years from now, this is exactly what your investment will be worth.
While the numbers are enticing, in Staten Island, what really seems to pull in clients is the man doing the pitching.
Joe wasn't some guy sitting in a 100-story building on 48th and Park in Midtown Manhattan. Joe was a Staten Islander. He was your kid's baseball coach. He was your uncle. He was your nephew. Joe's pitches were just like you going out and having a beer with a friend. And just a normal conversation turns into, hey, listen, I've got an investment program and it may be something you want to hear about. And in fact, Joe would also hold investor meetings where his friends would bring in their friends.
Thanks again for having me into your home.
He started off by providing routine tips on how to save money that you can get from a Google search, and then went into his spiel and into his pitch, and he brought out all these pictures of these properties
Here is
that he was telling his investors were going to be worth all this money.
Trenton as well. This is right across from the reservoir. This is about 120 units.
Anne and Joseph Martucci have been married for 30 years. They first heard of Marzella in 2006, at a time when the couple could use some financial help. Anne suffers from diabetes, and Joseph survived a heart attack earlier in the year, and neither is able to work. The family is collecting disability, but they can't seem to make ends meet.
We were drowning, literally drowning.
Martucci says that her husband has always provided for her and their 2 children. But after facing his own mortality, he not only worries about the present, but a possible future when he may not be around to help at all.
So he was just desperately scrambling, continuously scrambling. How is he going to provide?
Joseph Martucci finds a ray of hope when he hears about Joe Marzella from a local businessman. The couple meets with Marzella in his Staten Island office.
He kind of connected with my husband like almost immediately because my husband was looking for a way out. On the other hand, I'm not easy, and I didn't trust the whole situation. But he was so scared, and rather than argue with a man who's had a heart attack, I said, it's his money.
Convinced, Joseph eventually invests his entire 401k with Marzella, worth more than $260,000. According to the paperwork, their investment is backed by the mortgage on one of Marzella's properties in Trenton.
This is what Joe described to us